No, they're not online resources.
They might.
Okay.
So here's a few things. The first one is dawned on me that not everybody knows what storyboard is. So we talk about storyboarding in studio, but this is literally the deal. There's a template that allows you to put pictures and write text and put them in orders and sequences. So this is a really low tech one, you know. So, but you can see how it is. There's voiceover refers to if you're going to have someone narrating or talking over the video. That's a term used for that. Arrows are used to do different things, like indicate that you're going to zoom in on something or zoom out or make a camera movement of some way. These are called keyframes. So they're symbolic of key moments in your video. So you don't have to do it for every single one, but it's a good guide of saying, you know, eventually I'm in number 10 right now and I got to move to there and then move to there. Here's everything that I need to do to get from point A to point B as I make it. So I will use this as a stepping stone to editing. And what I would recommend for this assignment, you don't need anything more powerful than iMovie. So on all the machines, works just fine. So we'll forget this thing for a second. When you open up iMovie, for people who aren't familiar, it's helpful to start with what's called a new event. So under File, there'll be a choice under New Event. And this is the window that pops up. So this black box here is your preview that shows you what it's going to look like. The bottom is a timeline, and that shows you how the images are connected and the instructions that you're giving in terms of how to use the images. And this upper left corner is the media that you want to use, that you want to import. So what you can do is you may already have images in mind. You may have seen something in a magazine or seen something on television or saw something on the internet. Like, yeah, that's the perfect one. Until I can generate one for myself, here's one that I can put together. So collect those and put them in a folder. And this is very important whenever you're working on this. Right? This is linked to whatever information you're using, which is to say, if you're going to be using these stations out here on the university machines or moving from computer to computer, make sure you carry all your source material in a folder and drag that folder to the desktop of whatever machine you're working on so that the computer can find it immediately. Otherwise, you got a bunch of busted links, can't do nothing. So we're at this stage. We created what's called a new event. When you create a new event, it shows up here in chronological order. That's today. And we import our media. So you can literally drag and drop things in there, or you can go to this toggle. So I've created a folder that's already in Class Store called Movie Stuff. Very original title, Movie Stuff. Looks like that. And in it, I just grabbed a few random JPEGs. So I'm going to grab all of them, and I'm going to drag them into my new event. So now they're all there. And that's my preview window. So it's very exciting. So when I hit play, you know, it's not doing anything. And it shouldn't. If it starts doing something, then you got a problem, right? Because this is where the instruction part comes in. Okay. So we're just going to start with a simple one. There was a great week-long documentary last week called The Roosevelts on PBS. It's done by a guy named Ken Burns. Ken Burns is the king of all documentaries. So much so that they've invented an effect called the Ken Burns effect that makes still pictures look like they're moving. And if you've ever seen a Ken Burns video or movie, then you know what I'm talking about. So that's the first thing I'm going to show you. It's built in as one of the effects on iMovie, and it will help. So if you have a static image and you want to zoom in on a part or you want to pan around without having it be a moving video, you can create the illusion of movement based on this effect. So what you end up doing is you drag. So you highlight something and you drag it into your time bar. So that turns blue. And this number here is the number of seconds that it's going to be on the screen. Right now it's at 8 seconds. So everything about this we can change. Once we've moved it into this timeline area, we can edit it. Right? So, you know, when we go there, and look at the crop options. So when I double clicked on this, and what happened was this set of tools popped up on this. That one is the same crop symbol as you find in Photoshop and in other tools, cropping. Right? There are lots of choices for cropping. So when you click on it, it sends you here. So the Ken Burns effect, for example. Let's say for the duration of this still photo, it's up for 8 seconds, I want the camera to start at the left and go straight line, no zooming, all the way to the right. But that's the default, that's the Ken Burns effect. If I want to see a preview of that, it'll preview it for me. All right. Interesting. Now, I can change the zoom and the position of where I start and where I stop. So let's change this, what I'm zooming in on, and shrink that window and run it again. Okay. Let's move the time bar back. That's okay. But if I reversed it, and I really like that sign. I want to read what's on that sign. It's so important. I want to make sure that I'm paying attention to that. I still can't read it, so I need a better resolution image. Okay. For digital work, no still image needs to be more than 125 dots per inch. So you don't need the same image quality as you would need for print. So a minimum for printing to high quality is about 250. But for video work, 125 is fine. So if you're looking at images and still images, say you have a map, and you want to zoom in on a part of a map, or you want to go through a scene that you found or that you dealt with, you can do that. So there are lots of other effects. Yes, go ahead.
That line there, you set that for how long you want that image to be there.
Yes, okay, so that's a good point. So this is the default in terms of how long it's going to be on the screen. You can change that. Right, so let's change that. Get me out of here. There's my tool. Okay, I'm missing my time tool, but I'll send you a link to figure that out. But you can extend it. Say you want to make that 20 seconds, or you want to make it 4 seconds. You can alter it.
So would you recommend, can you set it like you know you have a minute to fill?
You have a minute to fill.
So then can you set it for that and then you just start putting things in?
No, you can't.
So
You have to stretch and shorten and extend and modify in that way. Right? So you go kind of bit by bit, right? Okay, so this is a different interface than what I'm accustomed to. So I'm going to nuke this one.
Can you stretch that photo and shorten the photos?
I wonder if that's the new interface, because before you used to have to double click and you had to do it. Yeah, well, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Ah, they made it simpler, that's why it was a problem. So I just grabbed it and I dragged it. So even though it's, what it's doing, you can see how it's always trying to make a smaller image. And then it's copying and repeating it to lengthen it over and over and over and over again. So you're adding seconds. So right now that thing is at 8.8. There's got to be a quicker way to do it. It looks like you can infinitely stretch it and go for it. You used to be able to click on the time and change the time that you wanted. It looks like you can't do that anymore. Okay, well, it's worth playing with. It's not that bad. Now let's do a bunch of images and put them in, and let's work on another thing that's helpful in this, which is transitions. All right. So a lot of what you saw in that Tom Leader video were actually tricks with transitions. And what this is doing now, it's doing sort of a default sort of Ken Burns kind of thing. You see how it's sort of zooming in and zooming out? It's because when you do it collectively, it'll automatically do that. So this is an example of zooming in. All right, so I'm on this image. You see how the start box is bigger than the end box? When you click on one, it shifts. So let's say for the same reason I want to close with that thing. I can move the timeline back to the beginning of that, tell it to give me a replay. I can do that. Nice. Okay. Well, I'm not going to mess with the effects right now, but I'm going to show you transitions because these help. So when you click on transitions, there are a bunch of them. A lot of them are really, really bad. So they're fine for like your family reunion or that sort of thing, but they're not really what I would call professional. There's a short list of transitions that I think actually are pretty professional. So cross dissolves are always money.
They're always what?
Great. Like,
so they did the end of that Mississippi, where they dissolved back into the image of the ice cliff.
right. So it's a slow transition from one image to another. Like it just fades completely through one to another. And you can control the time. So if it's a fast dissolve or a very slow one. So cross dissolve is great. Cross blur is a little weird, but is good. The fade through black and the fade through white are good. Well, we'll do the spin in and spin out just for
I like the spins.
We'll try the spin so you can see what the spin is like. I wouldn't recommend this for a client, so it's like, and the practice run is always choppier than the real deal. So if it looks jumpy and choppy to you, that means it's just compressing all that. So you saw what I did. What I did was I found a space between two clips, right? And I clicked on the effect that I wanted, and I dropped it in between.